Jason's installing updates, mind you.
No, I've stopped. Unless it's easy to do it mid-show.
Yeah, do it halfway through. See how it works.
Yeah.
But with your ample bandwidth, it shouldn't be a problem.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right, so,
I'd like to go up to the next tier on broadband, so we get 500 gigabytes instead of 200.
Ooh.
This chat window gone. Come back, come back.
I hate it. Why doesn't copy and paste work properly?
It's terrible on Windows 10 Mobile.
Yeah, it can be hit and miss. It seems to be Tweetium. It's. I don't know whether it's different or. No, it won't copy and paste. But if I do it in Twitter, let's see. I'm on the Surface here, so it's not like I'm doing. I don't know. I found with Facebook, it seems to sign me out an awful lot with the Facebook app. You know, on not the phone, but on the desktop, you use it and then you come to it sort of the following day, and it's forgotten your login again.
Yeah, I've seen things like that.
I don't know where.
One of my email accounts, it all seems to sign me off as well, which is really useful.
Yeah, I know other stuff like Netflix or whatever, or Tweetium. You know, it's always fine. Right. Let's get something out.
I just find it annoying whenever I try and authenticate on the phone because it always asks for my second form of ID.
Just on the phone.
Like, yeah, even though you say, remember me on this device, it's just permanently. Always going to be a positive show.
Yes, links out. Right. So we can make a start. Jason, Gary, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, and we were just moaning before we started about copy and paste.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah. I think it's coming in the Nodo update, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Do you remember that? How long did we wait for that?
Oh, I know. I waited for ages. I think in the end I used was it Chris Walshy, I think, released that tool to force it on, and then we realised that it blocked us from any future updates.
Oh, that was right. Yeah. Oh, those were the days.
They were. Those are the days. Long gone. Carriers never get in the way of updates anymore.
Well, no, they don't, because, and we have got, well, they do, but we have got good news on that. We can talk about that. Firmware rolled out for the Lumia 950 and 950 XL last week, and they've got solutions coming for that. We had a new build, didn't we, last week as well? So we talked about that.
Told you so.
Yep. Jason's predictions are spot on as ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's nowadays we can just about say that the game's going to hit that big red button every week.
Yeah, I think we're pretty safe to say that. Yeah. But we got a phone and PC built at the same time as well.
Yeah.
And what else did we have? Oh yeah, there was a Surface Book event I went to last week.
Yep.
Did he or didn't he?
Find out later in the show.
Yeah. And I've got email in, so I'll get that up on the show. Now, we did ask for emails about winning a copy of the book, suggestions for what the competition should be. So one of the emails we've got in is about that. So I shall bring that up. Here we go. Let's bring that up here. So this was Jonathan Hill sent this email in. Now, Jonathan's a long-time listener. We've speak to him a few times. So I'll read it out. Move my mic around so you can hear me okay?
Yes, indeed.
I'm redecorating this room, so everything's everywhere at the moment. So So he says, hi Ian, Gary and Jace. Great shows. Keep up the great work in the evolving show. Quick question that should be right up your street for the show around options to stream Windows 7 Media Center recorded TV to a Windows 10 device. As a handy link onto talking about the book on my on the show. Yes, well done. He says I'm still running Windows Media Center on a Windows 7 box to recorded TV. I did archive this off to a home server and stream there to various Windows 7 and Windows 8 machines around the house. But I now switch off the home server most of the time and store recorded TV locally on the Media Center PC. I currently have an original Surface Pro running 8.1, and the reason for staying on 8.1 is Media Center, as I still use it for playback of occasional recorded TV files as it works a treat. With a view to upgrading the Surface Pro to Windows 10, the question is around how Windows 10 handles the recorded TV files. I've had a quick play with the other film and TV app on Windows 10, but it's does not play back all the recorded TV files properly. Some recordings are missing the video and just play the audio, and others are fine. I haven't had a chance to narrow it down yet to see if it's the channel SDHD issue, but I remember I had similar issues with VLC when I was repurposing old hardware for playback in the early days. All the recordings are done with Black Gold DVB-T2 tuner, and it's the same across all the recordings. They play fine on all the Windows Media Center hosted on Windows 7 or Windows 8. Any advice on what the cause of the issue will be welcome. And he just finished off to say, and a couple of weeks ago, you were asking for competition ideas. How about stating the number of visions you will need to make the next edition of the book as Microsoft change the name and update the apps in Windows 10 next year?
Don't.
Well, for sending such an excellent email, I thought Jonathan should win the book anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's it. So, Jonathan, I'll get you a signed copy of the book over to you. But to go back to the question, that's quite a good one, and I'm sure a few listeners have had this issue as well. So you've got Windows Media Center TV archive files, and you want to play them in Windows 10. What's the best way of playing them?
And it's going to depend on what's in the either the DVRS file or the Windows TV file, because they're basically containers again. So we have different audio codecs, we have different video codecs potentially. Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's kind of answered his own question in the sense he hasn't narrowed it down yet. And I think if he did, then he'd find what the issues are, which is what you're saying, isn't it? That these recorded TV files are actually containers, and what's in those is dependent on your source.
Yeah, and it's going to depend. Is it an HD channel? Is it a BBC HD channel with the AAC encoding for the audio? All those sort of things can throw out the playback. Although I have to say, I've been playing back some old stuff I recorded ages and ages ago, and across loads of channels, and it all seems to be playing in Windows 10 with the latest Insider build, which some of the stuff didn't play before, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I would have thought that all the content should have played, and maybe even you could use the VLC or the modern or the desktop version of VLC would play that, and it should play all those files. But I think, Jonathan, really what you're going to have to do is trying to work out a pattern to see which work and which don't work, and then you'll be able to probably see what the issue is.
Yeah, I was going to suggest VLC, either that or the was it DRMS toolbox? Might be able to change the container, but that's that would require a few hoops to jump through. But I played around with it a bit, and it's relatively straightforward to use.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost go back through what we used to do. In fact, we used to do to get them onto the Surface 2 or the original Surface. In fact, I used to convert them to, I think it was WMV files. And then once you've got them in a converted format that's sort of Windows friendly, then they'll play in more or less anything. I think the film and TV app should play it just fine.
Yeah, film and TV will definitely play WMVs.
And you could map a drive, or you can add the network file location in film and TV, as I did an article on that a few weeks ago. So you should be able to play back network content as well on there.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point as well, I thought, for a wider discussion is when we had you got a DVD or whatever. Yeah, you know that you can stick it up in the loft, and maybe you'll be able to play it if you've still got a DVD knocking around. You'll be able to play it in a few years' time. But once you get to digital formats, and including DVD as well, I know eventually that will be you won't be able to play that, and we're getting that with VHS and cassettes and things like that now. But with these digital files, you've almost got to keep on top of them, haven't you, as technology changes and the operating systems change. And if you really have got some that are valuable to you, then how do you keep those from becoming unplayable? Yeah, exactly. It's codecs changing things.
I mean, that's why I'm a big fan of solutions like Ultraviolet, because assuming that they don't suddenly close up shop, the film studios kind of got together and made sure that there's a digital copy in a locker regardless of which store you purchase it from, as long as they support ultraviolet. And even to the point that if you buy, a Blu-ray copy of a film that's ultraviolet compatible, you'll get a code that you can then redeem, and then you haven't got to worry about then ripping that DVD to a disc, or, to a file, and then which format to put it in. You literally just have a downloadable copy, which products like Blinkbox will give you access to those. You can download them and play them offline.
Yeah, and I just noticed in the chat room, Holiday Boy says, I won't recommend the excellent Windows 10 Media Center installer. Yeah, I'd avoid that, really. But yeah, it is an interesting thing with these digital formats, and it's kind of ironic that the format that I seem to play most of my music on is either through Groove Music and Sonos or vinyl. And this is extremes of both, both work, but probably the one that will still work in 10 years' time, I can guarantee, will be the vinyl. Groove Music in 10 years' time, I'm not sure I could guarantee that. And especially when you start investing, like, Jason, you're investing money in these digital services. It's even more worrying then, isn't it, that these will just disappear and you've lost that money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I tend to only buy digital copies of films that come with ultraviolet, and that's why I've bought a few kind of Marvel films, but I'm reluctant to without Disney Anywhere being available in the UK. I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but in some ways, I can understand why people are reluctant to buy into the Groove music service in terms of purchasing music, because Microsoft had the MSN music service, which disappeared, then they had the Zune marketplace, which then disappeared. So many times Microsoft have opened up a digital music store and then only to shut it down and send an email saying you've got 6 months to download any copies, and that's not really what you want. That doesn't give you any kind of faith in it. But I think hopefully Groove Music's got some longevity. I mean, we know, Google off their own music service, Apple do. It's almost like it's expected part of any operating system these days. So hopefully Microsoft are in it for the long term. And certainly I've seen the buying and download experience improve. Now albums that I bought more recently are very clearly marked as yours within the store, and you can download it any time. It's just frustrating that some of the albums I bought before this transition, when it was Xbox Music, haven't transitioned into my purchase history.
Yeah, I know that's something they're looking at the moment, but it is frustrating. It has been frustrating over the years. It does seem like Groove, they're stabilising a bit. They seem to have got the relationship with the record producers better now than it was, say, 5 years ago. Hence, we're getting a lot more content on there as well, which is really good. I must admit, I'm really appreciating the Groove Music Pass these days. It's all that new content keeps coming out, and some pretty great old content as well.
I've been impressed with the content. They've got everything as it comes available is on there. I noticed. I forget, someone in the chat room used to hate me talking about Genesis, but I will anyway. But Tony Banks, the keyboard player Genesis, reissued a 1980 album, and it was released on the 29th, I think, and you could buy it on Amazon or whatever, and it was on Groove Music the same day. So there was no delay in that whatsoever, and great, you could just add it to your collection. And so I've got the vinyl of it, but it's only just been reissued, so I've never had the digital copy of it. So now I've got that on there as well, and that's using the Music Pass. So yeah, I think they're very good with the content, getting it straight on there.
Yeah, again, they seem to struggle with coverage though. I mean, for example, I remember looking on the Iron Maiden website, and they got their latest album out, and it was like listen to it on iTunes or Android Music. It's a Play Music, I think, isn't it?
Google Play,
and that album was available within Groove, but it's just there isn't a listen to it in Groove. It seems to be they're kind of, people just don't seem to advertise their services.
Yeah, and it really what it wants is listen to it in Windows, isn't it? And have that and have that link there, and it is there. And I was talking to someone about who was an Android user who was looking at Groove to see whether it was worth giving it a try, and he's given it a try. But there was a few sort of hoops to jump through around getting your account set up and things like that. But he's currently using it now, and he seems to think it's okay. I think just that the Android client is very basic compared to the Windows client, which since the launch of Windows 10 has actually become a really good music player now. And is a long way ahead of the Android version, which is quite unusual for a Microsoft product, because usually the Android ones seem to get a bit more love at the moment, but that's not the case at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, also, we've said it many times, but Groove Music on the Xbox One, the fact that you play music, and if there's a music video, it just plays the music video, and it almost makes you wonder why. And I guess it's because it's probably a more portable, less guarantee of bandwidth. But it seems a shame that the Windows 10 music app, Groove Music app, doesn't do that same.
Actually, that was the selling point. Really, that's what actually pushed him over the edge onto doing it, because of the. Because of the videos, he's got an Xbox, and I think that was the key selling point. So in that respect, the crossover has helped.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, probably the biggest risk to us in terms of sticking with Groove will be as the kids get older and they start to want to listen to their own music, and then services that have got a family pass kind of become a lot more attractive.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get somewhere on that family pass eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, they have to, really, if they want to compete and not just be there as a kind of prerequisite of the operating system. If they actually want to be, build those numbers, and I don't know whether or not it's ever kind of any decent revenue stream. I imagine probably not once all the music companies have taken their cut. But
yeah. I very much like my music pass at the moment, like you. But if there was a family one that wasn't too expensive, then I think I'd probably do that as well.
Yeah, because I mean, also, while I could share my account, they've got Windows mobile devices. I could quite easily log their music into my account, but then you start obviously running into the device limits, and also then that gives them the option of actually purchasing music, because their accounts don't have a credit card on file, but mine has. So
yes, you could get some very strange things ordered for you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they are very good. My Xbox account signs in automatically on the Xbox. I could quite easily buy games and stuff, but they never do. They always come and ask. So
it's not like you can hide it though, is it? It's easily audited because you see on your account straight away.
Yes, you do get an email. So
so that's the music apps. But as I was saying earlier on, we had new builds of Windows 10 this week.
Yeah, in fact, got one today as well.
So what's the one today then?
So today is for the non-insider track. We've got build 10586.122, which has got a rather huge change list on it, which basically is catching the non-insiders up with a lot of stuff we've had on the insider program. So it's got improved reliability, numerous areas, including OS and update installation, startup, installing, configuring Windows for the first time, authentication, resuming from hibernation, shutdown, kernel start, menu, storage, hello Windows, hello, display modes, Miracast, App Locker, Internet Explorer 11, Microsoft Edge browser, Activity, Dan Discovery, and File Explorer. And that's only the first paragraph. There's another 5 paragraphs to go. So it's quite a big update. There's a lot of stuff in it. The power consumption stuff is basically what I think we had it a few insider builds back, and it certainly improved things for me. So it's got a lot of improvements in there. And also a lot of people saying there's some really big improvements on Edge on it. Things which were crashing aren't crashing as well. So generally seen as very, very good.
Right.
Of course, we also had firmware updates for the Surface Pro 2.
Yes,
that's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've been out.
So we can now answer that question, can't we? Will we ever get another firmware update for the Surface Pro 2? Yes.
Yeah. In fact, one of the fixes was for the random wakes, which my wife's Surface Pro 2 has been suffering from, to the point where I actually changed it just to hibernate on pressing the power button. So I've now reverted it back to the default power plan, and so far it's working well. So, but yeah, these cumulative. I mean, it's certainly nice when you build a new Windows 10 machine. You only get one cumulative update as opposed to the 156 Windows updates that used to be.
Windows as a service, much better idea.
Yeah, I mean, used to build a new. If you build a new Windows 7 machine or something, or do reimage on, then you're talking like a few gigabytes, aren't you? Gigabytes and gigabytes of updates, especially once you get Office on there and everything else.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So for Windows Insiders, we got 2 builds last Thursday.
Yes.
So we got,
and I think
Go on.
I was just going to say, and I think based on my prediction that with the introduction of the introduction of the production ring for people that wanted to get previews of Windows 10, what did it be, threshold release, I said the Redstone build must be not far around the corner.
Yeah. So what we got last week was for the PC 14271 and for the Lumia 550, 950, 950 XL. We got 14267, which was released the previous week, but this is .1004. So PC side, let's have a look. What's new on the PC build?
What's new on the PC build is my
mostly
PC had
fixes, weren't they?
What breaks for me? I get a random crash about every 12 hours. So it might actually happen during the show. So if I do disappear, that might be it.
Right.
But it's just I just get a blue screen, and that's it. A blue screen, no writing on it, just blue screens and then reboots.
Oh.
So that's only been happening since this new build. So I mean that's what you take. You take those risks when you're on.
Yeah. So there was no.
When you're fast
Yeah. So there were no new features as such. There was just fixed, and there were a lot of visual things like Windows border, accent color not reverting back, and they said the music icons looked cleaner and crisper at high resolutions, and they fixed some notifications, and they put crosses in things. So I've got a link in the show notes anyway that will.
Yeah, I mean, generally, it is quite nice visually in a few things. I mean, those music icons definitely do look better on high res screens.
Yeah,
because they were a bit pixelated, but I mean,
so far it's been pretty stable on my machines.
I mean, other than this random crash, it has actually been better on a lot of things. The one thing I have noticed though is I can no longer log into my internet provider's control panel on Internet Explorer. Oh. It just comes up and says this is not supported, which is really weird. Which was working last week on the previous build, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I've asked them to see if they can figure it out. And that's why it's LA.
Yeah. Now, what else? So that was the PC build anyway. So I recorded a hands-on video of that, so you can take a look at that. But I was kept busy with the hands-on video because we also had the phone release. And like I said, this is an incremental update to the 14267 that was released the previous week, and that fixes a couple of minor bits and pieces on there. So let's see, there was I'd say the main thing it fixed, which is not really minor. If you had a Lumia 550, it actually fixes the USB problem. I don't know what we talked about last week.
I think we did. Yeah. So that's good.
And visual voicemail is back.
Yep.
And it works on dual SIM ones as well, and they've added history to the People app, which I think is quite good. Or returned it, I should say. Anyway,
yeah, I can say it's a return, isn't it? Because it used to be.
Yeah.
They'll eventually get everything back they lost.
And I found this build to be a little bit more stable than the previous one. I've not seen a huge amount of difference, but I did have a couple of random reboots when I was on the previous build, but I've not had them on this one. I'm still getting the issue with the Microsoft Band, where since I've got onto the Redstone builds, where it just stops pushing notifications through, and they have to turn the phone off and back on again, and then the notifications will come back through. Occasionally you have to do the phone and the band, but I'm not sure if it's related to also that sometimes, I'll say it on here, the live tiles don't update. I don't know if you've seen that. So currently, it's showing there I've got 2 emails unread on the live tile on my email tile, which is actually currently correct, but sometimes it'll show 2 and the 2 and it shows you a little preview as well, and that'll be from an email, say from this morning. It just hasn't bothered to update the live tile, and then all of a sudden it'll start itself. You don't even have to reset the phone, so it's as though something times out, or I think something like that. So I don't know if that's a similar issue with push notifications for the band, but that's any issues I've had so far, really. Yeah, like something like the Jason, you sent me a Skype message as we started recording. That's not come through, and nothing's come through since then. But if I reset the phone, they'll all come through. Mm. But on Redstone, this is kind of perhaps once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. I'm having to do it just stops with the notifications. So I did actually do a little post on how to fix these notification issues. There's a few different scenarios as well. If you've got your band and it's not pushing notifications through, like I said, the simplest things, reboot your phone, but then there's other things you can do as well. So if that doesn't work, so I'll include a link for that in the show notes. But anyway, so hands-on video for the phone as well, and I've stayed on this build. I did think about rolling back when I was having a couple of the reboots, but I don't think I will. I think I'll stay on this release now.
I think Microsoft also announced there would be some firmware updates for older phones prior to them receiving the Windows 10 mobile update.
Yeah, so that's right.
So basically, you're going to have a firmware update before you get the Windows 10 update, which and that's firmware update. So in the hands of the operators, that's probably not good news.
No, but I did say there'd be firmware updates.
You did. You did.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll.
You are. And talking of firmware updates, there was a firmware update for the 950 and 950 XL this week or last week.
Yes, along with a rambling blog post about how you may or may not get them either now or wait a bit.
Yeah, so first to tell you about the updates. So I've got this on mine. They said stability fixes, improvements for GPS reliability, which I think has been an issue for some people, hasn't it? With the GPS is not synced, or it's like a lag on the GPS. I don't know if you've seen this, and whether it's a Windows 10 issue or it's just on the 950. I did see it a couple of times where it will, on the map, it's like 5 seconds behind where you are when you're driving, which is actually pretty rubbish.
Yeah, that's not good.
Because you want to, it's telling you to turn left at the next junction, just after you've passed it, so you can see where you should have turned. But I only had it once, and I've not had it since then. But anyway, they've put a fix for that, and call audio quality, which I've always found pretty good anyway. But I don't know if you remember back earlier in the year, Microsoft said that they were looking at how they could get firmware updates to Windows Insiders, because the firmware was only available to if you were on the production build. So currently, to get these updates that came out this week, you've got to use the new production build ring in the Windows Insider app. You do that, it reboots, and then you go and check for updates. It'll get the updates, and then you can then go back on the fast ring or the preview ring or whatever ring you want. You can do that. But they did say that they're going to change that, aren't they?
Yes. So, yes, you'll basically be able to get the firmware updates alongside the Insider preview ring.
Yeah.
Which I think is definitely a good thing. And I guess the probably only real unanswered question is whether or not that would actually then come through quicker than the carriers, or whether or not that's still subject to the carriers releasing them.
Yeah, because they did produce a list of the firmware availability for the various options, and I had a look. Mine is just is down as a GB model because it's not. It isn't tied to a carrier, and yeah. So I'm not sure. We've had this conversation many times. How you especially go on with unlock phones, how they get through the firmware updates.
Yes. Yeah. I think we talked about it many times.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know what firmware updates need to come directly from Microsoft. You shouldn't have firmware updates from a carrier. You shouldn't have any updates from a carrier. Which,
well, we've had this discussion before, but it depends. Firmware updates can affect the radio. Now, technically, if they don't affect the radio, then you could get away with sending it directly down. But if it's affecting the radio in any way, then the carrier's got a responsibility to check it's not going to upset their network. I'd like to see why they want to do that. I think one of the issues has been that the way the Windows operating system has been in the past, it was actually impossible to separate the radio from the firmware update. I'm sure I'll get corrected if I'm wrong on that, but that's what my belief. So that is why we always, every time a firmware update went out, it had to be checked. So I'm hoping that they're going to sort some of that out. I know it's a bit more modular in the Windows 10 world.
Yeah.
Just want to call out to Holiday Boy again in the chat room, because he's actually managed to solve my logging into my internet provider. He pointed out that he'd had a problem, and he'd had to tick in the options advanced settings in Internet Explorer, the SSL2 and SSL3 options. I think it's actually SSL2, which is the one my people use. Now, I had those checked before because I'd had this years ago that needed that, and obviously that update's actually turned them off. So turned them back on, solved the problem.
Excellent. Real-time troubleshooting. Thanks, Holiday.
Yeah, brilliant.
So that was the firmware updates we got last week. Yeah, and the build updates as well. So my prediction is we'll get a build.
Yeah.
Soon.
Oh, we actually got another build as well because we've got an IoT core build.
Yeah. So what's that?
So that's the Windows Internet of Thing build, things build, Internet of Thing, one whole thing, Internet of Things build. And the reason for the release of this new IoT build is because we've got a new Raspberry Pi.
Yes. So on Monday was the 4th anniversary, I think, wasn't it, of the Raspberry Pi? And so they announced the Raspberry Pi 3, which retains the same price, and it's 30 quid or something like that. But the main difference is it's got built-in 802.11n wireless and Bluetooth 4.1 as well.
Yeah, and a much, much, much faster processor.
Yes.
I mean, it flies on Windows 10. I have to say, it's way better than the Raspberry Pi 2 on Windows 10. So, I mean, and I'm not surprised Microsoft pushed out the update for that. But that's a really nice device now. I mean, built-in Bluetooth, built-in Wi-Fi. It's also got Bluetooth LE built in as well, so you can do some beaconing stuff with it.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference, actually, the built-in Wi-Fi, because I was playing with a Raspberry Pi 2 and a Windows 10 security app that I was writing. So I had a camera, a USB camera plugged into it. Actually, very good as well. It's a very old USB camera that I have no idea what drivers. I think I bought it off eBay sort of 5 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
And I just plugged it in and it worked straight away. So really, really good support for the drivers. But yeah, so I've got this little app, but of course you've got to have it plugged in to an Ethernet cable unless you get the Wi-Fi dongle, which I know you can get and they're not dear, but out of the box, this is a nice little solution.
It is, and it makes a big difference. Also, it's a 64-bit chip as well, although they're not enabling that at the moment, but that obviously has potential going forward as well. So all around a vast improvement. And how they keep it at the same price, I really don't know. But the only disadvantage on this is it's a bit more power hungry.
Yeah.
So those you're going to need a bigger amperage power supply, and also it makes making them battery operated is slightly more challenging. I guess if you wanted to do that, you wouldn't probably have that version anyway. Go for the Pi Zero or something.
Yeah.
Even though that can't run Windows 10, unfortunately.
And you can't get hold of them at the moment, it seems.
No, you can't. You probably pay more for Pi Zero than you would for Pi 3 because Pi 3 is actually available out of stock in stock at the moment. So you can get them from the normal Pi suppliers, so that's pretty good. I actually, just a quick aside, in my ongoing project for the magazine, in terms of doing home automation on the cheap, I've been playing around with traffic lights today.
Right.
And I really like these. So these are things called Pi stops, and basically what they are is they're a little board. I'm trying to think. It's sort of like a thumb size board, and at the top of it, it's got 3 traffic lights, LEDs, and then at the bottom, it's got 3 connectors, which just literally slipped onto the GPIO port pins directly on the Pi. So you don't have to have an extra board,
right,
cables or anything like that. So it's really straightforward. Just plug them in, and they give you 4 positions they can be plugged into. So you could actually, I think there's potentially 6 positions you could plug them into. So you could, on the Raspberry Pi 2, so you could have 6 of these running if you wanted to, and then they're directly accessible as GPIO ports. And you can do that in Windows IoT as well. So it's really neat, very quick way to get started with having some nice lights on the Pi without having to really faff around with extra breadboards or resistors, because it's got the resistors actually built into these.
Yeah, because I noticed when I got started with the Arduino, you got the breadboard for that, which is a different design as well. So the pins push on a bit differently. So don't you? But on that, you've got to always have a pull down resistor for the LEDs.
Yes, yeah, and this has actually got those built in. And what's even more remarkable, each one of these things costs £2.95.
Wow.
so yeah, really, really good.
And can you access them okay from Windows 10?
Yes, yeah, because they're just straight up. They're just out setting standard GPIO pins. logic. Because each of the lights is just on a different pin, basically. So you just address it. So yeah, very straightforward.
That's pretty good. I mean, one thing I was thinking with this new Raspberry Pi, if you could power it from the USB of your TV, and now it's wireless, then you've got you could get a media player app on there, you know, like OpenELEC, which has just been updated as well. So I think 6.0.3 now supports the Raspberry Pi 3. But that would you could blue tack it almost to the back of your TV because it's so tiny.
I doubt if the USBs are going to be powerful enough.
You reckon? Yeah.
It might be.
But even so, it's only one plug, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a plug. The other thing I would say on that is OSMC has also been updated to support the Raspberry Pi 3, and also they are currently working on Bluetooth audio streaming as well.
Right.
Because that's obviously going to be another thing that they'll be able to do.
Of course, you'll be able to do. You'll be able to send it to a Bluetooth speaker, won't you?
Yeah. So that's going to be really impressive, I think.
Yeah, one of those little little portable speakers you could Bluetooth speaker. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. What I really want to see though is something like Kodi, or not so much Kodi, the sort of Plex or MB or one of those as an IoT app. I know they can't really do it because it's all about sort of IoT projects yourself, but it'd be nice if there was like an IoT version of MB, wouldn't it, that you could just put on there, stick it to your TV, and then you could consume media from your MB server.
I mean, I'd love a version of Groove Music, actually. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be really. I would really love to see that. I'm surprised that they haven't looked at that. Maybe, maybe there's just not quite the install base out for that. But that would be a great application. Film and TV, Groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Just get that on there and just have it as a media player.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, haven't we? Microsoft should make their own offer a media player service. So stick them on this and stick it at the back of your TV.
The Pi 3 is perfectly powerful enough to do that. It's obviously going to play HD video, but also the extra grunt in the CPU is going to be decode things a lot easier as well. So yeah, that'd be really good.
Yeah, so I quite like the idea of that. I think I'd so movies and TV straight on your TV with just one little device like that. I think that's a great idea because they are commoditizing those apps as well, aren't they? In respect to we'll talk about HoloLens in a bit. They are so they are available on there as well. So. Yeah, I'd like to see that. So that's the new Raspberry Pi, and you can grab your image straight away as well for the of the Windows 10 IoT image and put that on there. But I had quite fun with that Raspberry Pi 2 and Windows 10. It's actually quite easy to get started.
It is, yeah, and because it's all part of the same infrastructure, you can do some pretty remarkable things with the Cortana and all that sort of stuff, controlling the Pi remotely, and yeah, you can get some really impressive
the only
stuff.
thing I found is things like I was thinking, I want to use a file picker to choose a storage location, and why write your own file picker when there's a very nice one with the framework, but actually there isn't.
Yeah, not on the IoT. So yeah, there are some restrictions, and I think that's probably some of the stuff hasn't got ported yet because the restrictions are there. But good stuff. So have you got $3,000 to spare then?
Well, I was going to ask. I thought Jason might have been up for one of these. Have you got $3,000, Jason? And are you a developer in the US?
No, unfortunately not.
So the dev kits are available for the HoloLens, $3,000, and can be a lot of the blog posts are saying that they're available to for developers to order. But I think you've got to be pre-approved, haven't you, and a US developer only.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they do that restriction, but the dev kits look quite nice. You get the HoloLens and a clicker.
Yeah.
For $3,000, but we've seen a couple of examples of the user interface. I don't know if Microsoft. I know they leaked. I don't know if they've since confirmed them or they're still just leak only. But we've seen a kind of start menu, haven't we, for the HoloLens?
Yeah.
Which looks quite nice actually. So it's like a mini Windows 10 start, wasn't it?
Mm.
But some of the official apps that include, I think there's a Skype app, isn't there? That looks actually quite good. But then you've got Groove Music's on there, film and TV, which is why I was thinking maybe they could port this over. It looks great, and interesting to see what developers come up with. I don't know how much closer we are to a commercial version that that will be buying for the kids for Christmas, but these dev kits look good.
They do. One of my colleagues was saying that he thinks the restriction may be that they haven't got the export licenses for them yet, so
yes,
that's not actually allowed to take them out of the US.
Yeah, that could be true, because we know it takes Microsoft a while to get things available outside the US. It's another story we'll come to in a bit, actually. Yeah. So no, Jesse, so you're not saving up? You're not going for one of these?
No. I don't know. I mean, I get the augmented reality stuff, I think, more than 3D, but I don't know. I just not sure. I think I'm just too old.
I'll definitely go for one when they come down as consumer. I mean, if you actually look at the order scale, it should be sub $700 if it's the same relationship of a developer edition to practical edition as we had with say the Kinect. That order of magnitude, that should be sort of the price for consumer lens eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I get the augmented reality more than the something like the Oculus Rift, because although I think it is more immersive, but I don't know. I feel you're very isolated when you're wearing that. You know, it's bad enough just wearing headphones when you're walking around, and but being totally absorbed in the world with those, I don't know. I think they perhaps got different uses, but I think I prefer the HoloLens style of the augmented rather than the totally immersive. And of course, they don't have the restriction. I mean, for the Oculus Rift, you need a fairly decent PC, don't you, to pair up with that?
Yes, yeah, you do, definitely. I think when certainly at Mobile World Congress, it was all seemed to be about 3D and lots of different solutions on display. But I just wonder whether or not it's going to end up being a bit like 3D TV, that just becomes a bit of a niche market. I think it's so much kind of nausea associated with wearing those types of devices, and I do wonder whether or not they're kind of what they offer is quite limited. I mean, I can see kind of maybe gaming, but I don't really want to sit and watch a film with with a massive headset on.
Yeah, but I think maybe that's why Microsoft are going down this route of dev kits first, to actually get them perhaps used in research or maybe medicine and the vertical niches, and then let it filter down, rather than just starting with the consumer and it just being a novelty item.
Yeah, I think so. I think they've learned a lot from Kinect, to be honest, because Kinect should have been a major success and wasn't. And I think that they've learned a lot from that. So hopefully, by testing it a lot and early and getting some good developers on it, we'll have some really good content for it when it finally does arrive. Yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing those, but not my $3,000. And talking of buying things, so last week was the Manchester event for the Surface Book launch in the UK that I went to last Wednesday. They had a few of these. I think there was one in London the previous week. There was one the following night in Birmingham, I think, and so on. So I went down to the thing in Manchester, and it was actually quite good. There was an interesting range of people. There's a lot of buyers there for corporates, which I think who it was really aimed at. It wasn't really an enthusiast or MVP type thing. It was definitely to get it out to some of the corporate buyers and perhaps the big retailers as well. But it was nice finally to see the Surface Book on show, and I did get to play with it for quite a bit. And I used it. They had some good music software actually that they were demonstrating on there, and the multi-touch actually works really well on that. I was trying with there's a mixer in the app. I've forgotten the name of the music app now, but I'll try and find that for the show notes. But there was a mixer for mixing the different channels, and you could actually use two hands on all the faders at once and control the mix, which is really good. I tend to do, because I do a lot of music mixing on this. Well, I was doing it on my desktop. I'm now doing it on this Dell, and I tend to use the mouse, but then it doesn't give you that sort of hands-on thing of all of the faders at the same time. But that worked really well on the Surface Book. And I was trying ejecting and turning it around and redocking it again, and all that worked really well actually. So they must have all had the new firmware update on them. But yeah, and I saw it with using Adobe some Adobe animation software and 3D modeling software, and plenty of power in those Surface Books. Nice form factor as well, I must admit, but not the device that for me at the moment, because of my usage. I prefer the form factor of for traveling of the Surface Pro 3 or Surface Pro 4. So you can use it as a tablet as well, and it's sort of light. It's a lot lighter package as well. So it's not that light, is it? The Surface Book?
No, it's not. It's a heavy device comparatively.
And the screen was very nice, though. Really, really nice screen. Nice keyboard on there, but it's quite an expensive device for what it is. For what it is, you are getting a premium device. There's no doubt about it. So if you're in the market for a premium device, it's great. But I'm currently not, so it's not something I would get. But was very nice, and people there seem to be quite impressed with it. So yeah, very nice device, but not for me.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I didn't order one, and I won't be ordering one. I want to say hello to Laura Baines that was there as well, who I saw at Gary saw at the Lumia launch.
We did indeed, yes. Yeah. Hello, Laura.
Yeah. So, and she'd listened to the show last week as well. So she's sorry, I thought I'd say hello to her. Mm-hmm. But anyway, my Surface Pro 3 continues, and I'm using this Dell for the podcasting now and for the music stuff as well. So I'm going to continue using that. But it was very nice to see, and I did like it. I'll tell you what, I was impressed with it. It's the first time I got a chance to play with the Surface Pro 4, which is it's not a huge amount of difference in the Pro 3 physically, but it does feel a bit lighter. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I haven't actually used one, but the Surface Pro 4 is. I think maybe if it hadn't had the initial niggles, I might have been tempted. But yeah, I think the kind of combination of the liquid cooling and the 16 gig RAM option is a real tempter for me.
Yes, I guess it is, but I suppose now we're in this window of this sort of time cycle of the devices. I guess what you wait now to see what the Surface Pro 5 is like later in the year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just to see whether or not there's any major difference. And I think, even if it wasn't enough to tempt me over the Surface Pro 4, at least the Surface Pro 4 prices should probably see a reduction. Yeah. But one thing I have been waiting for, which is the fingerprint reader on the keyboard.
Yeah, it's finally here.
Yes, well, almost.
They did. Last year when I was out there, they did promise me it would eventually come, and eventually, just about now. Well, a few months to come still.
So this is people may remember back in October when the Surface Pro 4 was launched. They also announced a type cover, Surface Pro type cover, compatible with the Surface Pro 3 and 4 that has a fingerprint read on it, so you could use Windows Hello for signing in and get rid of passwords once and for all, as like Microsoft like to say in the marketing. But it was never available in the UK. Well, today they finally put it on pre-sale or pre-order and released on the shipping on the 15th of March. So you'll be able to get one of those for your Surface Pro 3.
Yep. Yes, you can have it in any colour you want as long as it's black.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not a UK restriction. That's worldwide.
Yeah.
But at least they've got the licensing sorted out on that and the export, as we were talking about earlier, the export agreements, because obviously that's encrypted technology. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes of that. So, but yeah, no, that's good, and they do work exceedingly well. So
with that, what can you do with it?
Well, basically, the whole Windows it's like any log on using the fingerprint reader. It just happens to work very, very well, and it's very convenient positioned on the keyboard. And you can use it to use Windows Hello to log into Windows. If you've got Windows Hello set up, if you've got Windows Hello compatible sites you go to, they'll be able to be logged in using the fingerprint reader as well. But because it's a standard fingerprint reader, any software which uses a fingerprint reader to authenticate can use it.
Right.
And there's quite a lot of stuff out there which already does that.
Yeah, it'd be quite nice to see, kind of banking apps and whatnot utilize that.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, but so what, 135 quid, isn't it? Something like that.
Yep. Yeah. So.
Yes, it's quite steep when you've already got a perfectly working keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sell your keyboard on eBay.
Yeah, I've got a nice red keyboard though. I quite like it.
Yeah, so
that is
have I,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah.
Some people are never happy.
Yeah, good. And this is it. They moan when they're not available, and then when they come available, they moan about the colour.
Yeah,
And then they moan they're too expensive. Yeah.
Because I got the red one, which was at the time limited to John Lewis. So
Yeah, so did I.
yeah,
I like the red keyboard. Everybody always says, "Oh, that's very red."
I'll have to look who pointed out, but I think the Surface 3 is currently on offer at John Lewis.
Yes, I saw someone tweet that. Yeah,
it has been for a while. So I think they're clearing stock, aren't they? And some really good offers. Depending where they seem to have different offers in different stores as well. I guess depending what stock they've got.
Yeah, it was Matthew Ashworth, Macca_chief on Twitter, who mentioned it to me. I still waiting to see, because at the moment in the UK you can't get the 1 terabyte edition of the Surface Pro 4.
No.
Which is still US. I don't know if there's any plans for them to launch that internationally with, 512 is enough. I mean, that was originally the top of the line Surface Pro 3, so
maybe that's where the Surface Book comes in. You go that route really for that once you get to that spec.
Yeah, well, even the Surface Book in the UK hasn't got the 1 terabyte option, has it? I don't think.
No, you're probably right actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some. I can't remember what the restriction was, but there was definitely a restriction on those SSD drives. So I don't think it was an export licensing. I think it was just numbers available.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of technology, because it's not a traditional, SSD drive, is it? So
no. So
I would say as well, the Surface Pen, they give you a nice little goodie bag which had a pen, a Surface pen that's a real pen. Not one you can use with your Surface unless you want to permanently draw on it.
Probably not a good idea.
The little USB drive thing built into it, and an excellent cleaning cloth, which I don't know why more people don't use these as well, because I use all the time. So, those microfiber cloths, I think they are for cleaning the screen, which is I keep on me all the time because I hate getting smudgy screen, so I keep that on me. And there was some chocolates in there, and yeah, that was quite nice little goodie bag actually. So it was quite nice to meet with other people, but it wasn't as an enthusiast event as the Lumia 950 was, which was more about people who went through the insiders who wanted to see phones, and this was a bit more corporate really. But good that they have these events, and good that they don't just have them in London now.
It is good that they're spreading those out. I think UK Microsoft is getting his marketing together. I know it's actually done quite often by independent partners, but they seem to be getting this sort of stuff better than it just being very London focused.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it was a good event. I did enjoy that. So we'll see what's next. What's from Microsoft? I think they've had some Xbox announcements today, but it's more around the gaming side of things.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of Xbox announcements because I think it's been the Xbox MVP summit over there. So I think they've sort of added some things at the end of that so that people can talk about them.
Yeah. So I think interesting thing they're doing as well, bringing some Xbox type games like Forza Motorsport 6, but of a version of it to the Windows Store seems quite a good idea.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing quite a bit of discussions around what limitations are at the moment in terms of games from the Windows Store app. So they can't use things like Crossfire or it's SLI, and also the VSync options. But I think was it Phil Spencer was committed to kind of looking to address those kind of limitations. So I guess the problem with most of these games, which has always been a traditional problem of PC gaming, it's kind of chasing the hardware, isn't it? Some of these top end games have really high hardware requirements, and that that's always been the case. But that's kind of what got me to switch from PC gaming to console, because you can literally pick up any game in a shop, put it into the console, and you pretty much guaranteed it will work. Whereas the PC, you're permanently chasing the latest graphics card and tweaking it and trying to shut down as many servers as you can so you can get running at full resolution. So it's always a challenge, but it's good to see. I still think it's a good thing that Microsoft is supporting PC gaming, because they did lose their way for a while. And obviously things like Quantum Break with the cross buy once and cross-play progress and everything up between Windows 10 and Xbox is, it's going to be that sort of thing is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more that they bring together, the more it benefits both systems.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely want to see more of that, and even if they're just companion games or something that come free, you buy the Xbox game and you get a companion store game for free. That brings together. I think anything that encourages people to go to the Windows 10 store is a good thing, even if it's for full-blown games. Just having it available in there. I think the more Win32 applications they get in there, I think the better. It's a nice, convenient way of getting applications, and so why can't we get? I know that Adobe are working with Microsoft, aren't they, on getting some of their stuff into the store, and I think there's rumours Office will be available through the store, and the full version of Office. And
well, that's with the bridge, isn't it? They're talking about that's actually going to be one of the first examples of the Win32 bridge.
Yeah, like I'm using Cubase elements to do the music recording. That should be available in the store here. Just so rather than having to go into the website or whatever, I just go into the Windows Store, and all the applications there. But they're not just the standard, the basic app store. XAML type apps, they're actually full Win32 apps. I think it's a nice way. I know it's something you mentioned way back when they first mentioned the store you'd like to see.
Yeah. So and this, to be clear, this is both ported apps which are going to run in the Win 10 store mode, so Universal Window Platform mode. So they all run on things like Continuum. So we talk about the full size of it, full version of Office potentially running on a phone, which would be quite impressive. And there's also going to be apps like the Cubase, which I don't think are going to be ported that way. They'll just be Windows 32 apps, but you can still buy them through the store.
Yeah.
So
it's a nice, convenient way of purchasing stuff.
Yeah, and I think they're also talking, weren't they, in the Redstone 1/2 time frame, about the app-free stuff being integrated into the client operating system, and I think that's a big part of that.
Yes, that would be absolutely necessary to do that.
Yes, yeah.
So that'd be kind of cool. But one other fairly biggish bit of news in my neck of the woods.
Of course,
yeah. just throw it in at the very end of the show. But Microsoft have agreed to acquire Xamarin. Which is an interesting thing, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about this yet, because I really want to see how it pans out. I mean, I've got a lot of friends in Xamarin, so I'm hopeful for them that it all goes very, very, very well. Obviously, a really good thing in terms of investment in that platform. A lot of confusion I saw in the press as to what Xamarin actually is. So Xamarin isn't going to help anybody port from Android or iOS to Windows. What it will allow you to do is, if you've got an existing app in .NET, it will let you create a version for Windows, for iOS, for Android, all in one very foul swoop, and very quickly do it. There's a lot of crossover here, and there's been a really strong partnership before. I think the only thing I really dislike about this is Paul's one of my favourite jokes, which is a few years back. The CTO of Xamarin was asked by a journalist, when do you think Microsoft will buy you? And he just sort of looked up and said, us by Microsoft, I don't think we can do it quite yet. obviously, they haven't got that far money, and Microsoft acquired, but it makes an awful lot of sense for Microsoft acquire. It's a .NET platform. It fits very neatly into their developer profile. Hopefully, it'll mean some of the cost of actually ownership of the Xamarin platform will come down. I worry about a few things. I mean, we're fairly heavily invested as a company in Xamarin Forms because a lot of our clients use that because it's a very quick way of getting things to the market. I worry if Microsoft will support that going forward, whether they'll try and move us across to using the Universal App Platform, XAML, which are very different things. Xamarin Forms is very nice in that you can write XML-based markup, which basically describes the page, and it will render it in a platform-specific way of doing it. It used to be quite restricted. It used to be for sort of fairly LOB, line of business type apps or basic apps, but it's actually got fairly sophisticated now. You can do some pretty complex animations, and some really impressive apps are now being written in Xamarin Forms. I'd like to see that stay around. I mean, I've seen it sort of muted either way, that maybe Xamarin Forms will become the base development for Windows. So you can do things quickly, and then if you want to do something more complicated, you go into the UAP platform, the UWP platform. But we will see how it means. But it's certainly huge news.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's certainly, there's been rumours for quite a while, hasn't it, that was going to happen. I think a build, was it 2014 or 2015? There was rumours it was going to be announced.
We all thought it was going to happen in 2015.
Yeah, but I mean, I must admit, I thought that. So people were kind of seeing it as this big kind of win in terms of pushing Windows apps and whatnot. But as you said, Gary, that was my understanding, that you still need to want to develop for Windows in the first place. Yeah. You're not likely to use Xamarin just because you want to write an iOS app.
Well, actually, that's not totally true, because a lot of people do just use Xamarin.
Right. Okay.
Xamarin, I would say 80% of the Xamarin apps we've written have only been iOS now and Android, because people, again, we're targeting the US market, so they're not interested in Windows. But it's still a great way of leveraging all that back end stuff you've already written. And quite often you've already written a Windows app sometime in the past, which is a .NET based one, and you might want to use some of that code. So an awful lot of APIs are still written in .NET, and if you can leverage that code, it can be a very good way of quick win. Also, a lot of people actually want to write apps which talk to Microsoft technology, and it's a really good way of doing that on Android and iOS as well. And it's just a very good cross-platform story. If you want to write code once and develop it for all the major platforms, or even just two of the major platforms, it's about the only thing out there which does it reliably and quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a very interesting technology, and it's going to be interesting to see what Microsoft do with it now.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're going to announce a build. There was also the Xamarin Evolve event, which is a few weeks later, and I suspect there's going to be a lot of stuff held over for that. There's some fairly big names turning up at that. I'm actually going to be there, so I'll be able to report back on that when we get this information. But yeah, it's going to be really it's interesting to see. So I have some concerns, because I have a lot of friends about Xamarin and certain technologies there. I mean, Xamarin Forms is a really interesting technology, because it was almost a hobby of one of the developers, and the CTO was walking past his desk one day and saw it and said, "What's this?" and it became a major project, made a product, and it's probably the biggest product they've got now. So yeah, quite interesting side.
Yeah, it's quite important that we thought we should mention that.
Yeah, just mention it.
I think so. Well, I think that's about the time we've got for.
Just a final word from how we started talking about Microsoft Groove at the start. There's a tweet from the Windows Store, and I think you'll appreciate this, in that on this day in music history, 1973, Pink Floyd released The Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes, I actually did retweet that today.
You can listen to it on Groove Music.
Yes, you can. Yes,
yep.
And so I should go and do that now. But I shall listen to it in the way it was meant to be, and I'll stick the vinyl on.
Yeah, you can listen to it on Groove Music as long as you've got money.
Oh, very good. And on that joke, we shall leave it this week. So, Gary, where can we find you?
You can find me at Gary WMA on Twitter, also on Fascinating Tech, and also going to be blogging a bit more on my Convenience Computing blog over the next few weeks with some Xamarin stuff.
Excellent stuff. And Jace, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Database Jace.
Excellent stuff. Well, so we should be back next week. Time 9 p.m. UK time in chat room if you want to join us. Thanks to
discussing the new build.
Yes, builds, and we might have multiple builds by then, we should say. And then, so we'll be back then, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Cheerio.
Excellent stuff. I'm glad.